our onions. Hi, beautiful people. It's a very beautiful morning. It's around past 7 in the morning. I actually meant to get out here early in the morning before sunrise, but my body said, nope, I'm not getting out of bed today that early. Omagana said, nope, I want to cuddle a little bit more. And eventually, when I got up, I realized I couldn't find my garden shoes. Guys, I'm only realizing today that I don't have proper garden shoes. I mean, who gardens in their tummies? Anyways, it's gonna be so beautiful. I think if I procured myself very beautiful shoes, maybe some boots, or is there somebody out there who wants to sponsor me garden shoes? Anyways, so today we are talking about onions. So in our old onion bed, or the one that we planted our onion sets, you see it's looking so rough, and it's about time we harvest these onions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about onions harvesting, and curing and storage process, just for you, my viewers, who want to learn. So we are going to start with the most common question that I'm being asked nowadays. How do I know that my onions are ready for harvesting? So you generally, let me just turn. You generally know your onions are ready for harvesting when the neck gets softer, right? And then the onion flops over. So you see a lot of these onions have flopped over. This one have flopped quite a while back, so it might even be the easier example. So you can see it flopped quite a while back, and now the neck is so soft, and so the neck goes soft, the onion flops over, and the leaf starts becoming brownish or yellowish. Then you know your onions are ready for harvesting. So when this neck flops, this is a sign to the onion to get all the nutrients that were on the leaves, to send it back to the bulb in preparation for storage. So you can you may as well stop watering at this stage. So because your onions are not gonna grow anymore, the bulbs are not gonna grow anymore. But the other thing, you have to wait for at least 80% of your onion bed to flop and lie, and lie down or lie over before you can harvest your onions. The other thing that modern farmers are doing, if you don't want to wait that long and you see that maybe 50% have already flopped, you can come out here and just bend them yourself. That way it's it's still gonna be the same process, signaling to the onion that no, we are done growing. So you may as well start sending those sugars and those nutrients back to the bulb. And then, how do we harvest our onions? So you see this onion, right? You should not break it. So you have to loosen with a pitchfork. Come out here, let me use this one. Come out here with a pitchfork and loosen the soil around your onion, taking care not to poke it. Okay? So loosen the soil. Onions usually have a very good root system. So you will be surprised if you just yank and pull it out without loosening the soil, then you are going to break the stem. And breaking the stem or putting any bruises in the onion simply means that it's not gonna store for a long time. The last time I harvested an onion here, I ended up bruising it. So let me try by all means. Oh, and I think I poked this one as well. Hopefully not. But you can see that it's because of the root system, it's tightly still in the soil. So I have to loosen more. The other thing that is important on this onion is this papery coat. This papery coat on this onion is very important for storage, so we don't really want to disturb it or to take it off. Okay, so there we are. You can see we have successfully harvested our onion. It has such a beautiful root system. So at this point, what you do, and you see the papery layer, and this is also because we stopped watering these onions, I think around a week ago, in preparation for harvesting. So at this point, you can just take off the excess soil, and like this your onion is ready for curing. So you see this onion here that I mishandled, and this stem is broken. So if this happens during harvesting, then you know that this onion is not gonna store well. It's either gonna rot in storage, or even before storage, and it's gonna lose its flavor. It's gonna be so bland. So any onion that we damage today, we have to use first, so that we don't let it go to waste. Anyways, for now, you guys have to be patient with me, because I'm now going, or we are going to harvest this whole bed, and then when we are done harvesting, we are going to go over to where I'm going to cure the onions, and then I'll talk to you more about the curing process, what it is, how you cure your onions, and how you store your onions, and for how long it will possibly be in storage. So yes, let's go. Harvesting these onions is reminding me again that my soil have been so clayish all this while, and this one is so, it's coming out in huge clumps, like it's so hard, and some of these onions looks very small, and I definitely understand why they are this small, because onions generally want a very loose soil so that they can bulb up, but this one have been under a very hard soil. But you can also see that a lot of these plants from this end of the bed still had very hard necks. They had not softened, so they were still growing. But I don't want to harvest some of them, leave the others in. Also because I'm planning to put potatoes in this bed, and my onions are, I mean my root, wow, what am I fabbling about? I'm planning to put potatoes in this bed, and my potato seeds are done cheating. They have cheated very well, so it's about time I come in here, amend the soil, and plant potatoes. And guys, I'll definitely take you for the process of planting potatoes, so that I can show you how to plant potatoes and just give you some of the tips. You know, nowadays food security have become a very important topic. It's always been very close to my heart, but I'm seeing that a lot of people are taking on this, are jumping on the wagon. Oh my goodness, this is so small. They are jumping on that wagon of producing their own food, which is very great to see. But the one question that I'm receiving a lot, especially from people who passes by my garden, is requesting for lessons, and it's asking why their plants are not growing, and especially the onion. Ooh, yo, I just left this one. Oh my god, no. Okay, let me touch it from this side. Oh my goodness, the soil is so hard. Yo, I definitely need to amend this soil. I don't think I'll be planting onions in here next year. I definitely need to choose a bed that I have amended a lot this year. so that I can end up with better onions. What I'm having in here, these poor onions grew in a very bad soil, and I'm hoping this is not the same. This is not gonna be the same with my other onions, because I need them to size up to last us a good amount of time without buying onions. These ones on this side of this bed are very, very small. They more or less look like the onion sets that I planted. And I planted sets because I wanted to get bigger onions out. Anyways, like I was saying, a lot of people are coming out here. You can come and start here. She's this is a trip, man, no me. So she's finding out the hard way that the soil is so clayish, and she's harvesting with a hand fork, and she's not able to dig out a single onion. Shame. I understand it's very hard, even with this fork. It's very hard. The soil is so hard, you guys. And for those who are my followers, you know I came and did a video trying to loosen the soil around the onions for them to size up a little bit more. It seems like it didn't work. The soil is still very, very compact. My onions are still buried under that soil, and they didn't size up much. Anyways, people are requesting for lessons. My garden is kind of becoming a famous spot in my little village. Some people want training. There are those who just want to beg for freebies. There are those who want to know where I got my seeds, although the seeds are in every grocery store. I guess they feel that maybe I'm using special seeds, not realizing that it's exactly the same seeds that they are using. It's just that you have to care for your plants differently for them to give you a better harvest. Okay. Oh. Please don't roast my red onion because I want them to stone. Okay. So guys, you can see that this onion was bolting, and this grows into a flower, and then in here then develops the seeds which you can harvest for your next planting. The thing that I want to address today is why a lot of my onions are bolting, if not all in this bed are bolting. This is because onions are biennials. This means that the first year they grow, they focus on the bulb, on producing a big bulb, but then the second year they focus on setting the seeds. And you guys knows that I planted this as onion sets from the onions that we grew at the farmstead and harvested them last December. So this means these onions are literally in their second year, and it's the year that they get to flower and produce their seeds. The thing is, onions that
have started flowering don't grow a bigger bulb anymore. Like you can see, this bulb is small. Usually if the soil was good and every all the things or all the factors were right, it will still grow a very big bulb before it bolts. But then a bolted onion means that it probably won't store for a long time. But also once the onion have bolted, then focus the nutrients to the flower rather than to the bulb. So when your onions have bolted, pick off the flower, but also you might want to come through and just harvest your onions because you don't expect them to size up much longer or anymore. Oh, I love this one. It's like a small onion, but the bulb is. Oh, I think these are my most prized onions. They are some of my very good onions. Wow. So we are done harvesting. We have some very good sized onions. But here, guys, this is one of those onion sets that we planted upside down, but it refused to just die in that soil. So it rooted and then came back up. So this is how it grew, right? Yeah, this is how it grew. So this is one of those onions that are a bonus because they were resilient enough. They wanted to grow and produce some food for us, and it's a pretty good sized bulb. We received those. Some of them are really huge, like this red onion, very good. And then this was our tiniest, I think. This is one of our onions that grew in the corner of the bed where the cucumbers used to be, and it was always being shaded out. But we also damaged it a little bit. You can see there that we poked it. So this one is not going into storage. This is the other one where the stems snipped off. This is the one that I showed you in the bed. So we'll also be eating this one. The other interesting thing that I wanted to show you before we continue, the root system of these onions. Ooh, such a good root system. But the problem is these onions grew in a bed that didn't have amended soil. The soil is so clayish, so very hard. So I consider this a success, the fact that we got some food out of it at all. However, a lot of them are pretty small. I don't know whether you can say it's small, too small, or just okay, but this is the kind of bulb that some of us who love onions will use 2 onions at once, or those who are good with conserving onions will welcome it because they will use 1 onion and then the meal is done. So now that we are done, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about curing onions. First, we are going to start. What is curing? Curing onions is the same as curing any other vegetable, right? So this generally just means drying it off in preparation for long-term storage. So how do we do this? So during the curing process, we are going to lie all these onions down on this table. This is a spot that receives, I think, shade all day, or is the part sun? I think shade the whole day. The thing is, you can put your onions in the sun, maybe for the first 2 days. So what happens in the curing process is that this papery coat is going to get even more papery. The roots are going to get dry. This soft neck is going to dry, and then it's going to seal off right here. And once it has sealed off, your onion is then ready to go into long-term storage. So the other thing with curing is you want to cure your onions, like I said, in a shaded spot, but it's fine to cure onions in a partly sunny spot. It just shouldn't receive sun the whole day. The spot also needs to be very well ventilated to allow your onions to have all the air they need. This also prevents rotting or storage rot. So we are going to lay all our onions for curing. They are going to stay here for around 2 weeks, or maybe a week before we move them to the garage floor. And yes, guys, the garage floor or a basement is also one of those places that are very good for curing your onions. Nothing is going to happen to them there for as long as it's well ventilated. It should be a little bit warm, not too cold, so that your onions can dry. If your basement is very cold, or your garage floor is very cold, keep them in the sun for a day or two. Allow them to harden off nicely, to shrivel off, and then they get dry. Once they get dry, you can then move them onto your garage floor or your basement. Once your onions are done curing, which is usually 2 to 3 weeks, you can come through with a scissor and then you snip off all the leaves, not all the leaves, all the roots, so that it's nice and neat. And then you also take and snip off at least around 2 to 3 centimeters, or 2 to 3 to 5 centimeters. So don't snip off immediately where your onion ends. Leave a little bit of a stem, because this dries off, and then when it dries off, it seals off nicely, so no bugs will be able to enter the onions, no fungal infections, no bacterial growth. So that means your onion is nicely sealed off. So now we are going to lay all this onion down for curing, and then we'll come back and show you how our onions are going to cure. Stay with me. Okay, so guys, we are done arranging our onions. This is definitely how they are going to cure. So like I said, we are going to leave them here to dry out. What I want to emphasize is that curing process means drying out, because you want the papery coat to become even more drier, for your stems to dry up and close and shrivel up around that onion to form a seal, so that it protects the onions from diseases and from bugs that wants to enter, and also it makes for long-term storage. So if you are suspecting rain, thank God I'm in a country where around this time we are nowhere near rain season, so I know that I can leave them here as long as I can, and it's gonna be fine. But if you're suspecting rain, or maybe you are in a country that receives frost, you should not subject your curing onions to frost or to rain, because this means that it's going to ruin the papery layer, and it's probably also going to your onions are at a risk of rotting. So like I said, storage should be, when your onions are done curing, storage should be in a well ventilated place. It shouldn't be very hot, it should be cool. well aerated. I'll say it again. If you are having a curing screen or rack, or maybe in a meshed uh, mesh bag, I think it's gonna carry or store well. Just avoid storing your onions in plastic bags or plastic containers that you close and there's no ventilation, because they're going to rot. You would ask, how long will they last in storage when I do curing process very well? So once your curing process have completed and you have stored them very well, your onions can store even up to a year. Can you believe that? Even up to a year, you'd still be using your onions. Very good morning. So this is how my morning was. Now I have to go and start amending the soil in that bed, because I want to put onions there, potatoes there. And I definitely know that we are not going to receive any good sized potatoes if the soil remains like that. So it needs to be amended. It's a very beautiful morning from me. Adios until next time. I'm going to do another video on how to care for your onions, because this is another video that is very much requested. Like I said, it seems like my little humble garden is becoming a star of the show in our village, and people have made it a habit of coming and asking some of the questions. So I'm going to do my videos now tackling some of those questions. If you are struggling to grow your onions to get to this size, the next onion video is for you. Do check it out. Do not miss out on that one. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here with me. I do appreciate you. Until the next time, I love you. Mwah. Bye.